Revealed, sister banished me from Thanksgiving. Discover the amazing truth about my 50,000 Suppo. Sarah's heart raced as she replayed the confrontation with Emily over and over in her mind. The thought of Thanksgiving looming closer sent waves of anxiety rolling through her. The cozy gatherings filled with laughter and gratitude were now tainted by a bitter rivalry with her sister, who lived in a world of financial ease. How could Emily, with her perfect home and designer clothes, understand the weight of 50,000 hanging over Sarah's head like a dark cloud? As a nurse in a tight-knit suburban town, she knew sacrifice and resilience, especially as a single mother to her bright son, Alex. In quiet moments, Sarah would watch Alex, his kind heart doing its best to ease her worries. Lately, he'd taken to leaving little notes around the house, simple reminders that good things come from facing our fears. "Be brave, Mom," one read, tucked inside her coffee mug. "Sisters can still be friends." Those words brought tears to Sarah's eyes. Why couldn't Emily see past the misunderstandings? The air thickened with resentment, but deep down, she longed to reconcile. As she rummaged through old family letters in the attic, dust danced in the air as if it were buzzing with her unresolved emotions. The fragile pages revealed their late father's struggles, detailing how love and support within the family had once conquered obstacles. It made her chest ache. Alex's voice broke through her thoughts, urging her to face the truth and find common ground. Perhaps, buried beneath their bitterness, there was still a bond worth salvaging. Thanksgiving wasn't just a day, it was about unity, forgiveness, and the chance to heal broken relations. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With Thanksgiving fast approaching, the local community event drew near. Sarah found herself amidst joyful bursts of laughter, the scent of pumpkin pie, and families smiling brightly, embodying the very essence of holiday spirit. But as she shared in moments of warmth, Emily's presence lingered like a storm cloud in the distance. When the sisters finally crossed paths, silent tension crackled in the air. Each hesitated, measuring feelings long bottled up. Sarah saw Emily's polished facade cracking underneath the weight of judgment and hurt. The conversation that followed was charged. Words tumbled out, hurtful truths, hidden fears, and unspoken apologies. Just as realization began to dawn, the shocking truth behind the supposed loan burst forth. Anxiety and confusion rippled through Sarah's chest. Was this the key to understanding each other, or did it open even deeper wounds? Standing at the edge of what could be a new beginning, Sarah's heart pounded wildly. Family was always about more than the conflicts and misunderstandings, it could also be about healing. As they stared at each other, poised to either rebuild or further separate, an aching sense of uncertainty loomed. Could they discover the true meaning of sisterhood, or was the rift between them destined to remain? Sarah stood frozen for a moment, her chest tightening as emotions warred inside her. How was it that she and Emily had drifted so far apart? The warmth of Thanksgiving should have brought them closer, yet it felt like an unbridgeable gap had formed between them, weighed down by money, misunderstandings, and pride. Then, in a move that surprised even herself, Sarah took a deep breath and spoke. "Emily, I didn't know you were feeling this way," she began, her voice shaky yet determined. I thought you blamed me for everything." Emily's eyes widened momentarily before narrowing. "You think I want to blame you? This isn't just about the loan, Sarah. It's about how we can't seem to talk anymore. Every interaction is heavy with judgment." "That's why I came here," Sarah replied, her honesty cutting through the tension. "To clear things up. I want to understand you just as I want you to understand me. You might not see it, but this missing support has left me struggling. I just want to provide for Alex and be a good mother." Emily's expression softened slightly. "Do you really think I don't care? It's hard, Sarah. You want me to understand you, but you've shut me out. I thought I was being supportive all those years when I offered help." It was never about judgment. I just wanted to safeguard our family pride. The air became thick with unshared words, each sister processing the other's truth. Sarah felt the walls she had built begin to crumble. It felt like charity to me, I didn't want to be that sister. And I was scared to ask for help because the last thing I ever wanted was for you to look down on me. I never looked down on you, Emily insisted, tears glistening in her eyes. But it's hard for me to see you suffering. I thought we were past those childhood competitions. I didn't realize the depth of your struggles. I'm here to help if you'll let me. A flicker of hope ignited in Sarah's heart. Could this confrontation lead to something deeper than a simple argument? Maybe they were both fighting similar battles, just on different fronts. Tension dissolved into long, painful silences, but underneath that lay the hint of a bridge forming, the possibility of sisterhood emerging through the fog of their misunderstandings. Let us talk about it, Sarah finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Before Thanksgiving, I want to put it all on the table. Let's be honest about everything: the past, the present, and the 50,000. No more hiding. Emily nodded slowly, and for the first time in a long while, they seemed to align somewhat in clarity. The beginning of a new chapter felt possible, filled with promise rather than drama. They began to discuss the ramifications of the past, the pain associated with it, and what the future could hold if they healed together instead of apart. But as the conversation unfolded, an unexpected phone call interrupted their emotional breakthrough. It was the bank, the call that could threaten everything they had just begun to build. Sarah, it's urgent, the voice on the other end said. We need to discuss something important about your financial situation. As dread curled back into her stomach, Sarah glanced at Emily, the weight of unspoken words heavy between them. Would this new challenge shatter the fragile bridge they were beginning to create, or could they face it together? Sarah's heart raced as she listened intently, her breath caught in her throat. Every word from the bank felt like a brick sinking deeper into her chest. What do you mean my application was denied? She managed to say, her voice trembling as she clutched the phone tighter. Emily leaned forward, concern etched on her face. What is going on? What did they say? I don't know, Sarah stammered, biting back tears. They said they have new information about my financial history, something that could impact the loan. I thought I was almost there, Emily. This was supposed to help me keep our house, to get us on our feet, and now she could feel the old fears creeping back in. Would she lose everything she had fought so hard for? It was as if the universe didn't want her to succeed. She looked at Emily, and for a moment, the past seeped back in a torrent of bitterness and anger at the world for pitting them against each other. Emily placed a comforting hand on Sarah's shoulder. Maybe it's a mistake. We can figure this out together. Just let me know what they suggest. I need this to be over. Sarah cried, feeling frustration bubble over. I've done everything I could think of. I worked late nights. I swallowed my pride and approached you for help. You didn't swallow your pride, Emily said gently. You protected it. And that's okay. But if there is something else going on, we need to address it. Just like we talked about. The fear in Sarah's eyes reflected back to Emily. Was this really the moment to bring up old grievances? They were just starting to mend some frayed ends, but it felt like the universe had other plans. I don't want to be a burden to you again. I thought if I could get the loan, we could finally be even, Sarah said softly, her voice wavering. I never wanted you to feel like you needed to rescue me. I do care, and I want to be part of the solution, not the problem, Emily replied firmly. So, let us call the bank together. I will support you in any way I can. As Sarah nodded, she felt a warmth surging through her. It was the stirrings of a partnership. Emily didn't just see her struggles, she wanted to help carry the load. They had spent too long fearing each other as adversaries when they could be allies in this fight. Okay, Sarah said, her resolution building. Let us call. But, what if it's serious? What if the loan is really gone? What then? Emily looked straight into Sarah's eyes. Then we think of Plan B. We won't let this tear us apart again, I promise you that. They dialed the number together, hearts pounding in unison. As the phone rang, a sense of both dread and determination filled the room. They were stepping into the unknown as sisters, prepared to tackle whatever news awaited them on the other end of the line. As the bank officer's voice crackled through the speaker, Sarah realized that maybe, just maybe, facing the truth together might pave the way for the healing they both desperately needed. But as the talk progressed, a chilling detail emerged, something that left Sarah's heart in knots. According to our records, there's a pending claim attached to your account that needs to be resolved before we can proceed, and it involves your mother's estate. Sarah froze, feeling the past crash into her present like a train wreck. The ground felt unsteady beneath her feet. Could this have anything to do with the distance that had grown between them over the years? The tension in the air was palpable, and she faced Emily, who wore a similar expression of concern. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah whispered, a knot twisting in her stomach. "What claim?" Emily's brow furrowed, and a shadow of worry crossed her features. They were standing on the brink of something much deeper than just financial woes. Would this revelation force them further apart, or could it serve as the key to finally understanding their mother's choices and their own? The air felt thick with unspoken truths. Sarah's heart raced as she processed the bank officer's revelation. The mother who had always loomed like a specter in their lives was back, front and center, and it didn't feel good. "What do you mean, a claim?" Sarah's voice cracked, barely a whisper. She could almost feel the shadows of memories creeping in, tangled with emotions too complex to unravel in a moment. Emily's hand still rested on her shoulder, a solid comfort in the swirling storm of confusion. "A claim related to the estate. I'm assuming it was something unresolved after everything," the bank officer continued, oblivious to the storm brewing on the other end of the line. Emily's grip tightened slightly. "Can you elaborate? What kind of claim are we talking about? We need to know what we're dealing with." "There are funds apparently disputed by other parties interested in the estate, several, I believe," the bank officer explained. "Without resolving those disputes, I can't approve any loans associated with those assets." Tension filled the room like a heavy fog as Sarah exchanged a glance with Emily. Memories flashed through Sarah's mind, their mother's will, the arguments that had erupted when she passed, the way it had divided the family like a chasm. Most of all, she remembered the silence that followed, a silence that seemed to deepen the wedge between them. "We didn't really get anything from the estate, did we?" "Just debts and unresolved issues," Sarah muttered, sadness creeping into her voice. The way Emily looked at her, full of sympathy yet edged with frustration, made Sarah feel raw. "No. But we have to figure this out before it derails everything we're trying to build. Your home, your future, this isn't where it ends," Emily urged, her voice strong and determined. "I can't let this be my mom's legacy," Sarah replied, her chest tightening. "Not after all the turmoil it caused in our lives." "Then let us not let it be," Emily said firmly. "We'll fight this. Call your lawyer. Do whatever it takes. None of this has to define who you are or who we are as sisters." The encouragement was a balm, soothing the doubts gnawing at her insides. Could it be as simple as just facing the past and untangling the mess together? A flash of determination ignited in her heart. Could they really tackle this mountain of complications? "Okay," Sarah said, with a newfound determination. "Let us call my lawyer and dig deeper. We need to know what we're up against." As she hung up the call and grabbed her phone, the weight of the past swirled around them, heavy yet hopeful. What would they discover next? What rifts would they need to mend? Just then, a text popped up on Sarah's phone, pulling her from her thoughts. It was from her mother's South-Old estate lawyer, a name she hadn't seen in years. "We need to discuss the recent claims. Something has come to light. Please call as soon as you receive this." Sarah's heart skipped a beat. This was either a lifeline or another blow to their already shaky foundation. She looked at Emily and swallowed hard. "What now?" Emily smiled, despite the tension in the air. "Now we dive headfirst. We're in this together. Whatever it is, we will face it." As Sarah nodded, resolve flooding through her, there was an undeniable excitement mixed with anxiety, whispers of secrets waiting to erupt. What more lay hidden in the shadows of their mother's estate? The journey ahead loomed large, dark, and full of potential, and they were standing right at the edge. As Sarah dialed the number, a profound question gripped her. Was this the moment they would finally crack the facade of silence that had held them captive for so long? Would the truth bring them closer or pull the seams apart once again? The phone rang, each tone hanging in the air like a warning bell. Sarah inhaled deeply, willing her nerves to settle. Emily's silent encouragement pulsed through her, roaring louder than the uncertainty creeping into the corners of her mind. When the call connected, she almost forgot to speak. "Hello, Sarah. Thank you for calling back." The lawyer's voice was familiar yet distant, like a ghost from a past she had tried to escape. "Hi, what did you mean by something has come to light?" she asked, trying to sound more composed than she felt. There was a pause, and Sarah's stomach churned. "I wasn't completely honest with you the last time we spoke," the lawyer admitted. "There's more to your mother's estate than what was documented in the will. We need to discuss the specifics of a private trust she established many years ago." "What trust?" I don't know anything about that." Panic fluttered in Sarah's chest. "Was it connected to the estate? Could it help us resolve the claims?" "Yes, but it's complicated. The trust has beneficiaries other than you and Emily. This could change everything," the lawyer explained cautiously. Sarah exchanged a worried glance with Emily, who leaned in closer, eyes wide. "Change what? How? Who else is involved?" Sarah pressed, her pulse quickening with adrenaline. Each answer was like a landmine, each revelation could either topple them or lead them to freedom. The lawyer sighed, the sound weighed down by gravity. "The trust contains funds intended for specific family members, and, as such, there are disputes over the distribution. Without knowing those specifics, you and Emily are at a disadvantage. Can we settle this? Is there a legal way to fix the issues?" Sarah's voice trembled, desperate for clarity. "Resolving this will depend on finding the other claimants. I advise you both to be prepared for a legal fight. However, if you can locate them, there may be a way to come to a private resolution," he suggested. Just then, the world around her seemed to fade. Images of her mother laughing, loving, and chaotic flooded Sarah's mind. Complicated relationships danced under her skin, each one a possible threat, each one a tether to the past she had tried so hard to walk away from. "Right. Okay. What next?" she asked, her voice stronger now despite the pounding in her heart. "I'll gather the necessary information and share it with you. But you should also start reaching out to family, particularly cousins and other relatives who might have any knowledge." "Relatives," she whispered, the word tasting bitter on her tongue. Flashes of family gatherings, neglect, and betrayal rushed back. The stakes were higher than they ever intended. "Sarah," Emily said softly, nudging her back to the moment. "We can do this. I'll help you track them down." "You're right," Sarah nodded, a fire igniting within her. "But if they're anything like Mom, this could be the wildest ride of our lives." As she ended the call, the weight of the unknown settled heavy around them. The tension in Emily's gaze mirrored her own thoughts, but on the edge of that tension was hope. Where were they going to find these relatives? Would they be willing to help? The air around them buzzed with the thrill of a challenge. Excitement swirled alongside fear. Just as Sarah resolved to fight with every fiber of her being, her phone beeped, showcasing a new notification. With a sinking feeling, she looked down to see another message. "I know about the trust. If you want to unveil the truth, meet me at the old family cabin." The proposition hung in the air like a dare. Who sent this? And what kind of truth awaited them there? As Sarah's mind raced with possibilities, dread mixed with anticipation. Would this lead them closer to resolving the claims or plunge them deeper into a family nightmare? Either way, there was no turning back now. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the cluttered living room. Sarah's heart raced, caught between the thrill of the message and the fear of what lay ahead. She felt a mixture of dread and excitement wash over her. Emily stood close by, her eyes searching Sarah's face for any sign of doubt. Are you really considering it? Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know. Maybe, Sarah replied, biting her lip. The cabin had always been a family relic, steeped in stories, laughter, and whispers of secrets long buried. But who would reach out like this? What are they hoping to gain? Emily shrugged, her brow furrowed in thought. You know what they say. Where there's smoke, there's fire. With a heavy sigh, Sarah rubbed the back of her neck, feeling the weight of their past pressing upon her. What if it's a trap? Or worse? What if they just want more from us? Or maybe they want to help? Emily countered. This could be a chance to uncover the truth. After everything we've uncovered, it could lead us to allies instead of enemies. The possibilities buzzed in the air, but uncertainty gripped Sarah's heart. It feels like we're opening a door we might never be able to close again. Then let us open it together, Emily said firmly. Remember, I'm right here with you. Sarah's resolve wavered, but Emily's steady gaze grounded her. What if we just check it out? Drive up to the cabin, see who's there. We can always leave if it feels off, Emily suggested. For a moment, the idea flickered in Sarah's mind. The old cabin, a mix of childhood memories and repressed family drama, seemed to beckon. A mixture of warmth and anxiety. Okay, Sarah finally said, her heart thumping wildly. Let us do it. But we drive in daylight. I want to see where we're going. And we take my car just in case we need to make a quick getaway. Deal, Emily agreed, her eyes brightening. As they gathered their things, Sarah couldn't shake a sense of foreboding. The cabin, once a place for family gatherings, had transformed into a potential battleground. The drive was filled with silence. Each mile seemed longer than the last, the landscape blurring past the window. They passed trees that towered like sentinels, standing watch over the secrets of the past. A part of Sarah longed to reverse course, return to the comfort of anonymity. But another part pushed her forward, feeding on the curiosity swirling in her gut. When they finally reached the cabin, it loomed like a forgotten relic against the twilight sky. Its wooden exterior seemed dark and eerie, a stark contrast to the bright memories of laughter and warmth. Are you ready? Emily asked, breaking the silence. No. But it was not a refusal, more a plea for courage. They stepped out of the car, the crunch of gravel echoing in the quiet. The air felt charged, a tangible tension that wrapped around them. They reached for the door at the same time, hesitant smiles breaking the seriousness of the moment. With a shared glance of determination, Sarah twisted the rusty knob and pushed it open. The scent of dust and decay hit them, memories trapped in the stale air. And then they heard a faint rustling from the shadows inside, an unmistakable sound that shot adrenaline through their veins. Did you hear that? Emily gasped, her eyes wide. Yeah. We should, Sarah started, but an icy feeling settled in her gut, overpowering any impulse to turn back. Let us see. They stepped into the darkness, leaving the light of day behind, thrusting themselves into whatever awaited them inside. As the door creaked shut behind them, Sarah felt a sense of finality. Will we find answers or more questions? She whispered to herself. The cabin held secrets, but they could only uncover them by taking the risks that lay ahead. And just as that thought settled in her mind, a figure stepped out from the shadows, face half concealed. Welcome, Sarah. Emily, we've been waiting for you. The air thickened with tension. What kind of truth was awaiting them behind those doors? Sarah's heart dropped. The figure in the shadows shifted, revealing a face both familiar and foreign, like a half-remembered dream. It was someone she never thought she'd see again. A ghost from her past. Jake? Sarah breathed. Confusion washed over her, overwhelming the fear that had kept her frozen. What are you doing here? Emily stepped closer to Sarah, her eyes darting between Jake and the darkness around them. You know him? She whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Jake's lips curled into a small, sad smile. I'm sorry for the unexpected greeting. I hope I didn't scare you. He gestured toward the interior of the cabin, where flickers of light danced in the corners. Come in. We have a lot to discuss. With hesitant steps, Emily and Sarah moved inside, the door clicking shut behind them like the finality of a trap closing. Old memories flooded back, summer nights spent laughing, the thrill of midnight adventures, and the bitter fallout when Jake left without a word. What are you doing here? Why now? Sarah's voice was steadier than she felt. I needed to tell you the truth, Jake replied, his eyes narrowing as if trying to gather the right words. I couldn't keep it hidden anymore, not after everything that has happened. Emily crossed her arms, the protective stance giving her an air of defiance. What truth? The cabin isn't just some family landmark, Jake said, stepping further into the light. The shadows peeled back, revealing a tattered sweater and haunted eyes. It's where everything started and where it all went wrong. Sarah felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her chest. What do you mean? What went wrong? Your parents didn't just leave this place behind, they wanted to protect you. They buried something here, something dangerous. His voice trembled with urgency. I thought we had time, but it's been stirred up. I need your help to keep it from getting worse. Dangerous? Emily echoed, sensing the weight of the word. What are we talking about? Jake took a deep breath, his face falling into shadows as he spoke. Our family wasn't what you thought it was. There are layers to this place that go back generations, and some things should never be unearthed. If you stay, we might be able to reconfigure the legacy left behind. Sarah exchanged a worried glance with Emily. The mention of danger sent chills cascading through her. Was it worth the risk of digging deeper into a past wrapped in deceit? Why should we trust you after everything that happened? Sarah's voice was almost a whisper, filled with a mix of anger and hurt. Because I've made mistakes, and I need to atone, Jake admitted, his voice cracking. I lost you both once. I can't lose you again. But time is running out. Sarah felt the weight of those words. A part of her wanted to turn back to flee from whatever Jake was hinting at. But another part, the part that yearned for answers, urged her to stay. Okay, she finally said, her voice steadied with resolve she didn't fully feel. Tell us everything. Just as Jake opened his mouth to respond, a crash echoed from the back of the cabin. Instinctively, they turned, hearts racing as the sharp sound shattered the fragile calm they had found. Did you hear that? Emily asked, leaning back instinctively against Sarah. Yes, and it didn't come from me. Jake's face paled, his initial bravado slipping, all their worries coalesced into an urgent question, filling the air with dread. What else had been disturbed in the shadows of this forsaken cabin? With fear gripping them, they moved cautiously toward the noise, each step drawing them closer to an unknown terror. Would they find a more horrifying truth waiting just behind the door, ready to reveal itself? As they approached the back of the cabin, an icy draft swept through the space, sending shivers racing down Sarah's spine. The walls felt like they were closing in, every creak amplifying the fear knotting in her chest. She exchanged another look with Emily, both of them silently agreeing that curiosity outweighed caution. Jake led the way, his usual confidence now marred by a visible unease. He paused at the threshold of an old wooden door, its paint peeling like the layers of lies surrounding them. This is where it all began, he murmured, his voice low and grave. With a strained breath, he pushed the door open. The hinges squeaked in protest, revealing a dim room filled with old furniture draped in white sheets, giving the impression of ghosts lurking beneath. A small window on the far wall filtered in slivers of moonlight, illuminating dust motes swirling like secrets long kept. Just, be careful, Jake said, stepping in gingerly. The weight in his tone warned Sarah that whatever lay within this room could change everything. Suddenly, another crash echoed from the corner. A wooden box toppled over, spilling papers and what appeared to be an old, tattered journal onto the floor. Jake rushed over, instinctively reaching for the pages, but he hesitated, his hand hovering above them as if they were cursed. Those should have stayed hidden, he whispered, almost to himself. Emily squatted down, picking up a page. What's in there? Is it about your family? Jake finally knelt beside her, his eyes widening as he caught a glimpse of the faded ink. "It's the family history documents about what our parents found, about why they left," he said hoarsely. Sarah stood still, feeling overwhelmed. The fear of the unknown loomed larger than any shadow in the cabin. "What did they find?" she asked, the question echoing in the silence. Jake looked up at her, his expression a mix of pain and determination. "It wasn't just secrets. They uncovered something that was meant to stay buried. There were strange rituals, and mentions of a curse that has haunted our family for generations." Sarah's heart raced. "A curse? Are you serious?" "Yes, and it's all connected to this cabin," Jake said, his voice shaking. "If we don't put a stop to it, whatever was unleashed could return." Before Sarah could process the gravity of his words, the air shifted. The lights flickered as the temperature in the room plummeted, sending a bone-chilling wave through them. Shadows danced ominously along the walls, twisting into grotesque shapes. "What's happening?" Emily cried, backing away as panic surged. Jake grabbed Sarah's arm tightly. "We need to leave now. If the box fell, then it's already been awakened. We have to find a way to contain it." The floorboards creaked beneath them, as if the cabin itself was protesting against their presence. "Contain what?" Sarah managed to ask through her trembling voice. "Whatever was buried, it's restless. We can't just walk away from this." Terror gripped Sarah's heart as she felt a rush of cold air around them. What if they were too late? "We need to work together," Jake urged, his eyes pleading. "This is more than just our past. It's about our future, all of us." Their understanding suddenly held the weight of desperation. Together, they faced the unspoken truth. They were entangled in a legacy that refused to stay hidden, a burden passed down like an unwanted inheritance. As they retreated, noise crackled in the room. Whispers, angry and insistent, began to rise around them in a threatening chorus. "What do we do?" Emily shouted, grabbing Sarah's hand tightly. Before Jake could respond, the door slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang. It felt like the cabin was consuming them, the darkness closing in on their hopes and fears. "Get the journal!" Jake shouted, his voice the only beacon of clarity amid the chaos. With time slipping away, Sarah dove back into the shadows, panic coursing through her as she fought against the pulling forces of fear. Could they unearth the truth without sealing their fate? As she clutched the journal tightly in her hands, she realized the final chapter of their family's story was still being written. And she was terrified of what the conclusion might reveal. What horrors were waiting in the darkness, ready to ensnare them once and for all? Emily's grip tightened around Sarah's hand as they huddled near the door, the dark room swirling with an unseen presence that felt both ancient and restless. The whispers grew louder, punctuated by angry hisses that intertwined with their own breaths. Each inhale seemed to draw them deeper into a void of fear. "Jake!" Sarah turned, her voice a raw whisper. "What do we do?" The desperation in her tone hung in the air like fog, thick and suffocating. Jake's face was pale, his brow furrowed in frantic thought. He shook his head, caught between the tether of the past and the thread of the present. "The journal," he finally said, urgency sharpening his words. "It's got to hold something, anything that can help us understand what we're up against." The journal lay on the floor, pages flapping slightly as if beckoning them closer. Sarah hesitated but quickly shook off the uncertainty. She stepped forward, the floor creaking dangerously under her, and picked it up. The cover felt cold in her hands, as if it bore the weight of untold stories and long-buried truths. With trembling fingers, she opened it to a random page. Words jumped out at her: rituals, names, dates, and a chilling description of a family legacy tied to this very cabin. Her heart raced faster at the realization that they were not just reading a history, they were reading a warning. "Listen to this," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It talks about a ritual performed every 100 years, a way to bind the curse." Her eyes flicked to Jake and Emily, who were leaning in closer, trying to make sense of a world that suddenly felt monstrous and alive. "What does it say?" Emily asked, her voice shaking as she glanced over Sarah's shoulder. "There's a mention of a key," Sarah replied, her pulse thudding in her ears. It says the curse can only be contained with a key. A blood relative must willingly perform the bind. Her voice trailed off, the implications of her words hanging heavily. Perform what? Jake pressed, his urgency palpable as he nudged her forward. Something called the binding, Sarah continued, her mouth dry. A ritual that needs 3 people, to seal whatever spirit is caused by this curse. I'm not doing any ritual, Emily quickly interjected, her eyes wide with fear. Whatever they unleashed, we just need to leave. There's no way this can end well. But Jake's face hardened with resolve as he stepped closer to Sarah. We can't run. It will only follow us. But if we understand it, maybe we can control it. The temperature dropped even further, a frigid gust swirling around them and uprooting the courage they tried to hold onto. A loud bang echoed, the window shutter rattling as a shadow darted past. The whispers grew more frantic, as if stirred into a frenzy by their argument. Listen. Sarah shouted over the chaos. We have to trust each other. We can't let fear consume us. Jake's eyes locked onto hers, a silent agreement forming between them. Together, they would either solve this mystery or become the next victims of their family's legacy. Okay, Jake said, his voice steadier now. If we're going to do this, we need to find that key. It's our only chance. As Sarah flipped through the pages frantically, she stumbled upon a crude sketch of what looked like an old cabinet in the corner of the cabin, marked with an ominous symbol. Here. This could be it. She pointed to the drawing, hope blooming in her chest, but it was quickly extinguished by the chilling sensation that crept up her spine. We need to find this cabinet. Let us go, Jake urged, determination in his eyes as he gestured for them to move. They edged toward the corner of the room, where the shadows stretched and twisted ominously, shadows that seemed to be alive and watching. As they approached the spot, a sudden crash echoed in the cabin, sending all 3 of them reeling backward. Stay back. Sarah shouted, clenching the journal tightly against her chest. But curiosity mixed with fear propelled them forward. Would they uncover the key that held the power to break the chains of their past, or would it lead them further into darkness? Their hearts thundered as they reached for the cabinet, but Sarah felt certain now, whatever was contained within would change everything. With a trembling hand, Sarah hesitated just before the door. What kind of entity awaited them behind this aged wood? What would they find inside, and would they be strong enough to handle it? With a deep breath, Sarah pulled open the cabinet door. The hinges creaked like an old voice cracking under pressure. Inside, cobwebs tangled with memories, and a cloud of dust burst out, momentarily blinding them. But amid the debris lay something glimmering, a small, ornate key that caught the faint moonlight filtering through the window. Is this it? Jake asked, stepping closer, his eyes wide with hope and awe. Only one way to find out, Emily replied, her voice a mix of excitement and fear. Sarah reached for the key, its cool surface sending a shiver through her. It felt significant, heavy with promise and danger all at once. The whispers in the room softened for a moment, as if the cabin itself was holding its breath, waiting. Do you think it's really the key to the binding? Sarah whispered, looking into Jake's eyes. It has to be, he said. If we perform the ritual, we might be able to stop this curse, maybe even find some peace for our family. Emily took a shaky breath, watching the key as if it would jump out and bite her. What if we can't control what we unleash? What if it goes wrong? Then we deal with it together, Sarah said, her voice steady but her heart racing. Unity felt like their strongest weapon against the unknown. The key, still shimmering, seemed to pulse in rhythm with their pounding hearts. It was almost as if it was a heartbeat, a reminder that they were all intertwined in this tangled web of family history. Let us gather what we need from the journal, Jake suggested, urgency bubbling in his tone. It mentioned a place, a circle. We need to find it. Sarah flipped through the pages, tracing the scrawled words with her fingers. Descriptions of a binding circle, made from natural element stones, ropes, announced the preparations needed to stabilize the spirit they feared. It says that we must create the circle outside, underneath the moonlight. Then let us hurry, Emily urged. Gathering courage, they rushed through the cabin, focusing on the task ahead despite the shadows lurking around them. Outside, the cool night air wrapped around them, a sharp contrast to the tension they carried. The moon was full, casting an ethereal glow over the clearing. With urgency surging through them, they gathered stones and twigs, forming a rough circle. Each piece felt like a step toward reclaiming their family's legacy. As they finished, Sarah looked at the key in her hand. "You hold it now, Jake. You're the one who knows the most about all this." Jake nodded, stepping forward, a mixture of fear and determination painted across his face. He reached into the circle, placing the key in the center. "Let us do this." With their hands clasped together, they recited the words from the journal, their voices weaving into a chant that rose into the night. Each syllable sent a jolt through the air, the whispers beginning to still as if they were listening, as if they were acknowledging their intention. A sudden gust of wind whipped around them, causing the leaves to rustle and the sky to shimmer with a strange light. Jake's grip on their hands tightened, their collective power flowing through the circle. "Please, we need balance. We need peace," Sarah cried out, her heart racing against the storm of emotion that surged. With each word they spoke, the air grew heavy, the shadows writhing with uncertainty. And then, just like that, a soft glow emerged from the center of the circle, illuminating them as a spirit materialized, a wispy figure that seemed both sorrowful and free, swirling in the moonlight. "Finish this," it whispered, its voice echoing with desperation and longing. "Release what binds us." In that moment of connection, Sarah's heart ached. She realized the truth of their family's struggles wasn't just about curses, it was about love, loss, and the courage to face both. "Together," Jake urged. "We can do this." And together, they spoke the final words, their voices uniting to break the chains of the past, their spirits intertwining with the spirit in the circle. A blinding light enveloped them, warmth rushing through. Shadows dissipated, anger quelled, leaving only clarity and relief in their wake, and just like that, the whispers hushed. Peace settled into the air, wrapping around them with gentle arms. "You did it," the spirit said, disappearing into a shower of shimmering light, leaving behind an echo of gratitude. As they stood in the hush of the night, Sarah felt a weight lift, fear, loneliness, confusion dissolved into a sense of belonging and hope. Their family wasn't just defined by pain, it could be redefined through understanding, love, and the shared journey back from darkness. Turning to Emily and Jake, Sarah's smile radiated with truth. "We've broken the cycle. We're free." Emily beamed with relief. "And together, we can face whatever comes next. As sisters." Jake nodded, a renewed spirit shining in their eyes. "Let us rebuild our family's legacy together." Hand in hand, they walked back toward the cabin, hearts full of possibility. They wouldn't just move forward from this night, they would embrace it, forging a new path together as they transformed not only their relationship, but the meaning of family as a whole. And while the challenges ahead were unknown, with love as their anchor, they would never face those fears alone. Now, it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you even more. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the good vibes flowing. Comment your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending. I want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the word. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.